What's going on today, guys? How's everybody doing? Hope all of you lovely people are having a great time so far today. But you better get ready because I'm about to make your day even better with today's video. In this one, I'm going to be giving you one play for each map that will guarantee you at least one kill if you use it right. And what's best, you don't even need to rely on anyone else to help you with them. They're all solo plays. But before all that, it's time for our one and only question of the day. So answer me this in the comments down below. What's been the best pro game that you've ever watched? There's got to be that one that kept you on the edge of your seat throughout, as eco wins and sit clutches were pulled out left, right, and center. For me, it's none other than Cloud9 beating FaZe to win the major. That comeback was just unreal. Anyways, why don't we stop talking about the pro scene now and instead help you get to the pro scene of the future with one solo play on each map. One quick thing you need to keep in mind for all of these plays, however, is to play off your spawn. If you get spawned close to B upper, for instance, peeking upper is a fantastic plan, and the opposite goes for if you spawn far away from upper. It likely won't work. So just a little something to keep in mind for these tricks is to only pull them off if your spawn location permits it. Otherwise, more often than not, you'll end up dying, and this could have drastic consequences. Now, kicking it off with the most iconic and popular map of the game, it's the one and only Dust 2. The infamous home of Russians constantly opping down middle, Dust 2 can quickly become a bit stale to play on either side, with play quickly becoming a lot more about raw skill rather than tactics in some of the lower levels of the game. It can also be a very frustrating map, especially if you're playing badly. The key in this situation is to not get disheartened. Keep your head up and try out some new tactics. One of these small movements that you can do and is rarely considered, even in global elite matches, is to do a fast CT drop when your team is taking A site from short. The best way to do this is to make sure one or two of your teammates are going with you to provide a distraction. Then throw smoke like this. Once the smoke pops, throw down a flash into CT spawn and drop down immediately after the flash goes off. There will likely be someone hiding in the corner of CT, so make sure to clear all the corners. And once you get control of CT, there are two things you can do. You can either stay in CT spawn to cut off any rotations to A, or you can attempt to lurk towards either site or middle and get a kill or two. On to the second most played map of the game, it's Mirage. Another very iconic map. I remember back years ago to the first time I ever played CS. It was on a friend's laptop, and I distinctly remember running around on a Mirage deathmatch, getting destroyed by everyone, not knowing just how fascinated I'd become by the game. Anyways, enough of me reminiscing. My Mirage trick I'm passing down to you is a CT side one this time. On A site, Palace can often be overlooked by both sides as an attack route. However, it's especially ignored on the CT side. Nevertheless, it's a fantastic place to push as a CT. Whether it ends up bagging you a kill or just some simple map control, pushing into Palace as a CT is hugely helpful. To do it properly, make sure you or a teammate molly or smoke ramp to stop a fast push, then strafe jump into default. Jump onto the top part of it, and then one more jump onto scaffolding, and then into Palace. This jump might take you a bit of practice to get it right, but it's not too tricky. Once you're in Palace, get a kill, then quickly fall back. However, if Palace is empty, you have a couple options. If you think they're going to come A later in the round, hiding in Palace and peeking when they try to come out ramp or try to plant will almost always nearly bag you the round. On the other hand, pushing through Palace can also work. You'll have to decide which one to do each round. Just make sure you walk through Palace and T-spawn if you push, otherwise you'll get heard from mid. Next up, we've got easily my favorite map in the game, it's Train. Set in old Soviet Russia, I've always thought Train is the best map, not only in gameplay, but in atmosphere and setting as well. But when it does come to gameplay, there's no map better suited to oppers than Train. Seemingly every area of the map has long and flat sight lines. A lot of common op plays are very well known on it. A few of these are peeking upper, aggressively holding lower ramp, or peeking A main from camera. However, since opping on this map is so intuitive and simple, I'm going to give you Riflers a play that you can make on CT side. This one focuses around holding the B bomb site from upper. The first thing you want to do is go straight to upper when the round starts. Once there, smoke it off just past the ladder and play behind the smoke, sort of using it as a wall to upper. You'll be surprised how people just charge through the upper smoke and give you easy frags if a B rush is called. And the same thing goes for lower. As you run out lower, your crosshair is aiming everywhere except at upper, once again giving you easy kills. Unfortunately, this trick only works once each game, as people will quickly learn to expect it as soon as they see the smoke dropped at upper. But if you use it right, it's sure to bag you at least one round. It's time for Inferno. For sure, one of the most quintessential maps in the game, Inferno has been around a long time. And in that time, the map has really gone through some changes. Just take a look at the old version of it from Global Offensive. It's also played host to some of the greatest pro games that have ever been, seemingly always being the deciding map in a grand final best of 3. As I mentioned earlier, who's ever gonna forget Cloud9 coming back against FaZe to take the trophy? Now, whilst Train is easily the best map for Oppers, Inferno might just be the worst, so the play that I'm gonna give you is specifically for all you Oppers out there. If you're playing middle, peeking down mid to T stairs is a very common play, making the chances that you'll successfully get someone with it quite low these days. However, if you change it up a bit and peek second middle, you're bound to get some results. To properly do this, make sure that you throw a smoke down mid to block off anyone T stairs or underpass. Once that pops, simply run down mid a little bit and hold the angle into the top of second mid. If you're lucky, a terrorist will stroll right into your crosshair and gift you a 5v4. Make sure you fall back very quickly, as you will be very exposed. And once again, be sure not to use this peek too much, as the enemy will start to recognize the smoke and what will follow. Bombing its way into our list of solo plays, we've got Nuke. Nuke is by far the most controversial map in the game, with a large number of people absolutely loving it, but nearly just as many despising the map. Nuke is a very strange map, with its quirky layout and a huge emphasis on CT rotations to win rounds, but it does play very well and evenly these days. This is the complete opposite of how it used to be before it was updated, where 14-to-1 halves were commonplace for the CTs. But with how things stand, Nuke is one of the better maps in the game if you ask me, and hopefully with this play, you'll learn to love the map as well. This is some CT side aggression that involves taking control of or just getting a pick in lobby, and is a play that has been around but flying under the radar for a long while. It involves throwing this fake molly, which will make it look to the terrorists in lobby like there's a molly down at hut, meaning they'll pay no attention to a push from hut. However, if thrown correctly, it will cost you no health to push past the molly and get a free kill onto some turned backs. If you're lucky, you'll be able to take lobby control for your team, and at that point, the round is pretty much won. For our 6th solo play, we're taking a trip to Germany to visit Overpass. When Overpass first got added to CSGO, it immensely shook up the active duty pool of maps. With its unusual layout and the huge level of verticality, it was, quite simply, nothing that the player base had seen before. After years of constant tweaks and changes, we've arrived at the version of Overpass that we have today. And just like Nuke, it's still such a different map from the rest of the pool. It features one of the most unique layouts of the whole game, and in my eyes, it easily makes it one of the most enjoyable maps to play. For Overpass, we've got another unconventional op peek that you can take. Instead of peeking mid or connector, next time you have a good spawn for it, try peeking long instead. The trick with this is to make sure you drop a smoke a bit before the rock to fall back with if you get rushed. But chances are nobody will be expecting this kind of push. Simply drop the smoke as you run towards the end of long, then peek into playground and hold the angle on the wood next to swings. With this peek, however, you've got to make sure that you don't hold it for too long. Stay just 5 seconds or so and then fall back, as your teammates on A are very isolated and susceptible to a middle or connector rush with you this far forward. Continuing on with the less normal maps in CSGO, we've got to look at the new kid on the block, Vertigo. Now, what can I say about Vertigo? For starters, it takes the verticality that we mentioned in Overpass to a whole new level, quite literally. It completely does away with the classic 4-square design of most of CSGO's maps, and was very controversial when it was first added to the active duty pool in place of cash. However, after numerous tweaks and changes, we've arrived at a solid map that blows a breath of fresh air into the map pool with its design. But enough of that. You guys want to hear about the Vertigo play, don't you? My favorite play on Vertigo is one that focuses on a good lurk rather than pushes and peeks that have been the plays on other maps. And this is it. On T side, if you get a good spawn towards A, try and get up A ramp fast and tuck yourself in behind the first set of sandbags on the ramp. Once here, just crouch and hide and tell your team to play it slow. From this position, it is beyond easy to catch out any CT aggression on the A side of the map, as any pushing CTs will be very unlikely to check your position, meaning you can easily punish them and open up the bomb site for your team. Once again though, this is, unfortunately, a play that you can only really use once a game, as your enemies will start to hard clear that angle after you catch them with it once. Well guys, that wraps up our guide on the one play that you can make on each map. Hopefully you learned something helpful from this video, but just make sure to remember one thing for all these plays. Only ever do one of them if your spawn permits it. Otherwise, you'll end up dying and giving the enemy a man advantage and likely the round. So keep smart with them all. Do so when you have a good spawn and when it will be unexpected, and you're sure to be using them to great effect. Anyways, that's it for this video. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more awesome content. And remember to answer our question of the day down below. What's more, if you really want to boost your game to that next level, hop on over to ProGuides.com for an even better learning experience. There, you'll find many great guides, including one by Mr. Simple himself. And you can even hire your own professional coach to analyze your gameplay. So what are you waiting for? Boost your game today.